Here, I have one of my cheesecakes that I made for my fiance's mom. It is a blueberry and maize cheesecake. It has fresh blueberries in the batter. And then I took a different blueberry compote and I marbled it along with some fresh and homemade lemon curd. And then to get a third color, I marbled some plain batter that gives it a nice white. So I have marbled in here. I have some yellow, I have some white, and then two different hues of blue from the fresh blueberries and the different blueberry compote. And there you have the blueberry and maize.
That was one of my greatest friends, Eric, the owner of EK's Cheesecakes in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We go way back to 2012 when I wasn't a podcaster and he definitely wasn't a pastry chef. When I moved home to finish college, my plan was to get back to my life in NYC as soon as I graduated. I wanted no distractions and felt like I had no time to make real friends. But during the first week of my move, I remember being at a recovery meeting, totally uninterested, zoning out, and a super clean pair of sneakers caught my eye. I love sneakers, and it bothered me that I didn't even know what brand they were. I scanned up, and there was Eric. His energy was controlled and meticulous, and I was immediately comforted by the fact that I wasn't the only young, black, sober person in the room. I walked up to him after the meeting, and I said, "I like your shoes." That's all it took, and Eric soon became one of my best friends, and I started my own collection of creative reactions. I cannot count the amount of hours we spent laughing hysterically while riding around in his black Lincoln Continental and talking about music, or how many times we watch each other stumble and fall as we've learned how to live honestly and build our new lives in recovery. Now, it's the summer of 2019, and I'm standing in his home, listening to him describe the details of one of his delicious cheesecakes. And all I can think is, you can create a beautiful life out of your biggest mistakes. You're listening to Beauty in the Grit, and I'm your host, Ariel Britt. Reap what you need.
In high school, I don't think there was anything more important than me having a party. My mom, she didn't really give me lots of rules, me and my brother both, so we were able to do what we wanted. And what we wanted to do was drink, but more importantly, have parties. Once I started and realized that I could gain friends from this and respect and popularity because people I thought needed me, they thought I was cool, I had the party spot. So when I got older, I realized that my marijuana drug dealer was just so bad at it. And my personality is, and always has been, that if I see something long enough that I can change and I think that I can do it better, I'm going to. So I started growing my own weed. It started off really small, 6 plants in one closet, and then it grew exponentially from that. And so did the independence. I had the money and the time to do whatever I wanted, to be my own boss. I could wake up and work an hour and a half in the morning, tending to my plants, and then I could go to the gym, come home, smoke a bong bowl to the face, take a nap, eat something, and then the rest of my day was full to do whatever I wanted. I could have people over, I could go somewhere else, go to the bar, and because I grew weed for a living, I had the money, so I would buy everyone's drinks, trying so bad to be that cool kid. So I got a DUI September 17th, 2011, which ended up being, I think, my 9th alcohol-related offense. I got put onto what's called sobriety court. So I sat down with my new PO, and we went over everything that was expected of me on this green sheet of paper, and one of the top things was random home visits. So I lied, and I said that I live with my mom, and I wrote down her address. I even moved in with my mom for a little while to make this whole lie, and he ended up coming within the first week on my probation to a random home visit. He took a quick look, and he's like, "Okay, let me check the fridge. Is there any alcohol in here?" "Nope." "Okay, you're good to go." I knew because I asked around, and no one really had more than one home visit in this probation. And it was a task to live with my mom and still tend to my 50 marijuana plants in my basement at my other house, especially with no license. But it was very important to me, so I made it work. But once I knew that I could take this easier, softer way of just moving back into my grow house, I did just that. So on this new probation with this forced sobriety upon me, I met a lot of good people that I still hang out with today. And I think it's because we all were in such a similar situation. So it wasn't long after meeting these people that we would have plans to meet and do things in a sober environment. And that was something that I needed a lot of help with, because nothing that I did back then did not involve some sort of drugs or alcohol. I did not think that sober fun was like a thing. I certainly didn't think that me being sober for the rest of my life was possible, especially not thinking about drinking. So after a while, hanging out with these people, they showed me a life without alcohol, and I needed to see that. I remember the first time was at Knight's Restaurant, and I had, the time of my life. I remember there was like 7 of us. I only knew 2 of the people at the table, and we were laughing. And like at this point, I didn't really have that like real laugh in a long time, something that I thought was, kind of gone forever. But I had like a real laugh, and I remember doing that over and over again at this dinner. And then there was this guy, I don't know why they sat this dude by himself so close to us who were so loud, but I remember him reading a book, and we were saying something, maybe we were laughing, but then he began to laugh. So I turned and I was like, hey man, I apologize, I know we're kind of loud. And he said, no, it's good to see you guys having such a good time. It clicked with me that like, I can have fun without alcohol. If this person, this stranger can see it, it must be real. So I'm in recovery. I'm approaching about 9 months. I just quit my job because I knew that I could support myself growing weed. I'm doing well in soccer. I'm doing well in school. I'm doing well on this probation. And I'm sitting on my couch and I realize that like, it doesn't get any better than this. Like, I know that like, I'm at the top. I need to enjoy this. 3 months later, I'm celebrating my 1-year anniversary. And not even a week later, I wake up, I'm supposed to go to sobriety court. And I'm walking down the stairs and I see so many things that I bought with my drug money that I'm trying to find something that I bought with the job that I used to have. Because at this point, I've only quit for a couple months. So there must be something that I bought in my house that I bought with like legit money. And I'm looking around, computer, no. Drapes, no. Artwork, no. Everything I looked at was drug money. And I knew. Because what recovery has done for me is to really know myself. So I knew at that moment, if I can't find anything in my house at a glance that I bought with real money, legit money, there's absolutely no way I'm going to just quit growing on my own. I need to have some help. So I said, talking to my higher power, I guess not much of a prayer, but I said, I'm not going to stop growing unless I'm caught, because I need some help changing this sort of lifestyle. Maybe an hour and a half after I have that little confession with my higher power, I go to sobriety court. I see this girl talking to our PO in a room by themselves, which is uncommon. She chose to sit on the other side of the courtroom, but kept looking at me with like pity. It's like, why is she looking at me as if she had done something wrong? So then my name is called. I go up. Usually I make everyone laugh, including the judge, because he asks you a whole bunch of questions. I'm pretty witty. I'm very fast. Told my normal jokes. No one's laughing. So then he says, before you leave today, I want you to talk to your PO, which he said before, which usually means I'm going to sit down with him. I'm going to see someone new in sobriety court. I'm going to like show them the ropes, show them how I made this miraculous change in my life. And that's it. I meet my PO in his office. He shuts his door. He never shuts his door when we have our meetings. First thing he says, you know, I don't like liars. And he asked me, why is your car spotted on the north side of Ann Arbor so much when I know you live over here? So only thing I could think of at the time was, well, my dad lived on the north side and I'm at his house quite a bit. What's your dad's address? 1332 Bulges Circle, which was my address. Because he caught me off guard, didn't know what to do, didn't have my dad's address. So I stupidly gave him my address. He said, okay, we're going to go there right now. If your clothes are over there, that's an indication that you live there. And because you lied about your address on sobriety court, you'll be going to jail. No, Steve, like, yes, I'm there a lot, but like, that's not my house. I don't live there. He's like, all right, let's go right now. We step into the elevator, just me and him. And he was like, you seem pretty calm for like what's about to go down. In his mind, I'm caught. When you grow weed for as long as I had and live in this lifestyle, like, you know you're going to be caught one day. I didn't really think it would be legal like it is today, but my alcoholic mind is telling me, dude, you got this. This is one of your many lies you have to tell, and if you can pull this off, you're the fucking man. He's in the parking lot. He's talking to the two other officers. I have my keys in my hand. That's the first time that I thought maybe I should not do this, and I could just throw my keys somewhere and then go up to the front door, try to open it. Like, oh, my dad never locks the door. Like, sorry, can't get in. But I was like, no, you got this. You can do this. You've done worse. So stupidly, I go in my house. I sold a little bit of weed to a friend the night before, had a jar of Purple Kush right outside the couch. He immediately sees the weed and he's like, oh, you're at least going to jail for that. And the other officers keep sniffing. And I'm like, oh, they smell the weed. Because, I mean, when you grow to a certain point, there's not a lot you can do. So they're sniffing, but they're not saying anything. We go to my room. Obviously, I have my clothes in my room. He's like, yeah, all right, well, you live here, so, all right. I'm like, no, man, this is my room at my dad's house. You know, I live with my mom. I'm here a lot, so I have my clothes here. I don't want to, like, transfer, and, you know, it just made sense to keep my clothes here. We go to the guest room, and that's when he was really like, okay, this is your house. You definitely live here. No, man, like, no, my dad's room's in the basement. That's where I grow all my weed. I have the key on my key ring. We go to unlock it. I just skip that one. I'm like, oh, that's funny. Like, he doesn't ever lock his door. It's locked. And Steve, the two officers, kind of look at me. And that's when I try to bluff my way out of the situation where I'm like, you know, guys, I know you legally have to see what's behind this door. So you have my permission to kick it down. And he says, no. Since this is not the address you provided us at sobriety court, we legally cannot see what's behind that door. And that's when I'm like, oh, your boy has pulled it off. He's pulled off the impossible. I knew I could do it. I knew it. I'm out of here. Thank God. We walk up the steps. He turns to me and he says, I'm only going to ask you this one time. Is this a marijuana grow operation? I take maybe 2 seconds to think about it, and I say, yes. I was just done being a fraud. Open the door, show him everything, and then he says, wow, you really knew what you were doing. And I said, quote, yeah, Steve, I don't fuck around. And then he put me upstairs. I got the handcuffs on me and went to jail about an hour after that. I did not serve 1 day in jail for growing the weed. I spent 6 months in jail for lying about my address, but not 1 day for, 50 plants and 13 ounces. Luckily, I had a friend approach me before I even approached them, saying, hey, I know you just got out. I'm sure you need a job. I need someone, I own all these buildings. I need someone to help me maintain these student rentals. And I was like, all right, as long as you know, I know nothing about fixing anything. He was like, dude, you're freaking out. You're going to be fine. So after being released, it was very important for me to be with family and to know what is really important, because back then it was just money, material things. And after being in jail for 6 months, I realized that shit doesn't matter. It doesn't make me happy. It's my family. So that first Thanksgiving, I remember my mom making a cheesecake. And I was like, oh, like I thought you just buy cheesecake. And I didn't know my mom could bake. I was very shocked. It's like, all right, cheesecake, like kind of cool that you made this yourself. So I had some, it was good. And I was like, okay. The next month, it was Christmas. Once again, she was gonna make another cheesecake. So I was like, hey, let me help you make this cheesecake. I believe I started off with a very small roll. All I did was help her make the crust, barely did anything, but I had a blast. Like working side by side with my mom, creating something. Like it brought a sense of joy that like I didn't really get besides growing weed, which I thought that passion was gonna be gone. The following year, for Thanksgiving, I let my mom, rest. I'll make the cheesecake. And I made it all myself. Turned out relatively well. I decided to do it again and again and again, and just for fun, because my hobby and my passion used to be growing weed, and I can no longer do that, so I need to find something. So maybe it's these cheesecakes. I'm working, I have a real job, and it gets slow in the wintertime. So then that's when I kind of had this idea that maybe this would be a good time to see where this cheesecake thing could potentially take me. I remember selling my first one to a good friend, and he gave me some feedback. They're like, yeah, man, this was awesome. So I started the EK's cheesecakes in October of 2017, and I got 15 orders. And then I had to cap those orders at 15 because I knew that I probably could not make more than that myself. I made 15 in a week. I could not believe it. I was super busy, but making that many in that short of time and then getting the cash, I really enjoyed. And something that also told me that like, I wonder what you could do with this. Maybe a year later, I made a website and I got some business cards and I got some stickers, and I pretty much tried to self-promote and make my brand a little bit more well-known. And it wasn't long before I was able to get into a local market and have him start selling my cheesecakes. I was giving him, 2 cheesecakes a week. Pretty soon it was 3. And he finally was like, okay, like I have enough going on. I can't make sure that we're stocked, and you're selling so much. Like I can't keep checking that. So like you keep an eye on that. I want you to run that. This is like your section. Like when you see it's low, make more. Don't have to ask me. Just make some, drop it off. Make sure you get paid before you leave. I remember the first time I walked into a store and I saw this old lady holding one of my cheesecakes. And I was like, oh, that's my cheesecake. And she was so old, so sweet. She was like, do you want this? And I was like, oh no, my bad. I made this cheesecake. It's yours. I'm just saying it's mine because I made it. I hope you like it. If you do, please come back. Oh, how lovely. It looks nice. To see a stranger with my cheesecake in their hands, that feeling was as good as people telling me, this is some fire weed, man. And I thought I would never get to that point with my cheesecakes. Now I'm in my first restaurant. When I started, it was like a dream. And I'm there. I did it. I'm just grateful that someone believes in me and is helping one of my dreams come true. When I was growing weed for a living, I thought that was all I was going to become. That's all I wanted. I really thought that for the rest of my life, I would be growing marijuana. I would live that lifestyle and I would be okay and I'd love it. So now that I'm 7 years sober is crazy. What's more crazy is that I don't grow weed for a living. As much as I knew then that that was the life that I wanted, this is the life that I deserve, and this is the life that I need to be living. And this is, more importantly, the life that my higher power always had set out for me. Sober, 7 years, with a fiance, and a house, and a little baby, 1-year-old, walking around, getting married in Mexico. For me to long for these things, to want these things today, is just a testament of like how much my mindset has changed. I mean, if I did not get arrested, I would not be here. If I didn't get pulled over, blackout drunk to get that DUI, I wouldn't be here. So there's so many things that like were negative back then that now I see are positives and are the only things that promoted me to have the life that I live now. I'm one of the lucky ones.
This episode of Beauty and the Grit was produced by me, Ariel Britt. Mixed and sound designed by Jason Patton. Kat Jaffe was the story editor. This season is funded by Patreon. A special thank you to them and everyone at House of Pod. To find out more information on EK's Cheesecakes, check the show notes. To the listeners, your support is very much appreciated. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, and as always, reap what you need.